Hey guys, what's going on? Today we are looking at a couple things. We're looking at the current top 12, I guess, performing active ladder players, or I guess most popular, not top performing. We're going to talk a little bit about the considerable player drop off that's happened recently, and potential reasons why. And I think right now, as a preface, thanks for everyone who's been subscribing to the YouTube. It has slowed down a bit. I think we're kind of reaching that saturation point. But if you haven't subscribed yet, it makes a tremendous amount of difference. So please consider subscribing if you enjoy this content and you find some value out of it. So let's talk firstly about the active ladder. So this is essentially the games in 2v2 that have been played recently. I don't know if it works for it works for 3's as well. So we can kind of look at, what are people playing at the 1800 bracket and the 2100 bracket. So let's look at the 1800 bracket first, because this is probably the more general sort of view. Firstly, we see heaps of Arms Warriors. I think Arms Warriors are just going to be consistently popular. Interestingly, as an Arms Warrior main myself, I think they're one of the most well designed classes in Shadowlands. And I think currently they're sort of obviously top performing melee. I think you see a lot of other like Rets, Windwalkers, other melee rogues even re-rolling Arms Warrior 2, just because of how versatile it is and how you can pretty much play it in every comp. Specifically in 2v2, you see them a lot more because of how powerful Venthyr is in 2's. It essentially crushes paladins. It crushes a lot of casters as well because of the mobility, and there's not really too much counterplay. So obviously we see Arms Warrior. I think the interesting one is Holy Priest. Holy Priest has seen a huge resurgence in popularity. I think it's always been pretty good, but with the changes to sort of Disc Priest, or not even changes, but sort of the meta moving towards a more slower playstyle, Holy Priest provides a lot of the same healing output and while still having a huge amount of mana regen. So Holy Priest is something to watch out for. Definitely even becoming more popular than Holy Paladin. I think Holy Paladins as a whole are considerably weaker. 6 second sack does actually make a pretty big deal because you can sort of play around it a lot easier. At 12 seconds, it's pretty easy to, well, like, I guess it's quite difficult to avoid, you know, dealing with that. You kind of have to swap targets or you lose a lot of your pressure, all that kind of stuff. But now with 6 seconds on sack and the fact that you don't like get to mitigate it if you're running ulti sack, plus the mana issues, plus the removal of shadow resistance aura. I think Holy Paladins are sort of looking a lot more balanced, and I think you're going to see a huge resurgence of Druids and Shamans alongside Holy Priests. But Holy Priests have a lot of the toolkit. They've got an offensive purge. They have pretty nice, I guess, healing cooldowns with the Serenity and Guardian Angel. I think that's what it's called, Guardian Spirit, something like that. So they're able to provide a lot of output in terms of healing while still, providing that offensive pressure with mind games and purges. I think Sub Rogue, and one thing that's not captured here is probably Assassination Rogue, is looking really, really strong in 2's right now with their one shots. They've kind of got a new build going, so I think they're getting a lot of W's as people trying to adapt and work that one out. I've definitely fallen victim to it heaps of times where, I'll trinket something that I used to trinket before the patch and then I'll instantly die to Assass and Sub. So have to be really, really careful and really think about what you're trinketing now. And that's probably not going to change too much. I think it's not a bad playstyle. I think it's pretty fair. Sub rogues are kind of hard to kill, but if you're able to lock them down, they kind of fall over. So it's a lot of skill required to play sub rogue at higher ratings and execute the different kind of one shots and setups you need. Disc Priest and Fire Mage, I don't think this is too surprising to see these so low. I think the interesting part is Windwalker being so low. I would have expected Windwalker to be pretty popular. Obviously, this is a sample of about 8,000 games, so not necessarily completely comprehensive look at everything. But generally, I think this sort of reflects in my games as well. I see them way, way less. And even the people I'm coaching see them way less too. And Rhett's, I think, Rhett, Affy, and Frosty K have sort of been on these percentages all season. So let's talk about the next thing, which is the kind of huge drop off that's happened recently in both EU and US regarding games played, player activity as a whole. So it kind of peaked in January 24, um, and that was kind of an anomaly. I think generally it's been sort of like on Saturday and Sunday it goes to about 42, 56, and then it drops back down. But the weird thing is sort of how systematic it is. Like it's sort of been this peak, people slowing down during the week, which is fine. But now the peaks, which are usually Saturdays and Sundays, are lower, like almost a third of the um, you know off days. Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, stuff like that. It's a third of that on EU at least. And we're seeing this steady decline of people kind of, I think, growing disinterested in the game. And it's something that I've seen as well. I would largely agree that I think the game is feeling a little bit stagnant right now. Um, as much as I love Warriors, I think a lot of the warrior play styles, you tend to like Q and it's just a warrior, like TSG, Ret Warrior, Feral Warrior, Turbo, uh, or like RMP, or something like, um, you might see the often like Ret Hunter, Holy, stuff like that. But Holy Priest, again, huge amount of games played. You're seeing them way more often, and they're really taking the lead. I think Holy Paladins have kind of given up a lot of their leeway. So even in 2v2, and then, if we look at 3v3, Holy Paladins are still quite popular because you don't have that many mana issues, but you're seeing this Holy Priest meta sort of spiking upwards. And you still see a shit ton of Arms Warriors and Enhancement Shamans. In RBGs, pretty similar. Then we'll look at the US leaderboard. US leaderboard. The US leaderboard, very, very similar trend. It's sort of been declining down for a while. It is still, I think, higher day to day compared to the other ones. So let me just go back to that. Yeah, it's 11,000 on EU, 13,000 on EU, and then last Sunday was 14,000. So it's still quite popular. I think 2's is considerably less popular in US as well, but it's kind of hit a new sort of low there at 4,000. I really feel this on US at the moment. I think people are really just sick of the current meta, but also how hard it is to play alts. I think that's a really big factor to total games tracked, or general player activity. Is that when alts are really, really hard to play, then once you hit a certain rating on your main or you feel a bit hard stuck on your main, you want to play an alt. That's the thing that keeps you playing arena. So if you kind of assume that most people play maybe 20 arena games a day, pretty high number, but let's just say 20 a day. When they stop playing their main and they switch to an alt, if they get disheartened pretty quickly because they're getting completely outgeared and shat on, then they're going to swap and just like not play the game, right? They're just not going to play an alt because it's not worth the amount of effort. So I think generally that's what you're seeing here is you're seeing this really, really big slowdown of arena interest. I think the other thing is probably gearing. So that Mythic 15 was because Mythic gearing was kind of shit. PvP gearing was kind of the option, but now that Valor is in, it's pulled away a lot of the PvEers who are finally getting interested in Arena, which is a pretty big downside. I think it was really exciting to see so many people, PvEers and PvPers, getting interested in Arena. Obviously, initially getting dragged in because of the good gear, but now they can get that gear through Valor, and Mythic 15s are pretty easy now. So you can time a 15, or you can just complete a 14-15 and get a 226 piece. We're about 5 months into the season, so most people who've been doing 15s are fully geared with 226. They don't even really have to think about it. Arena would really only be for alts that you couldn't do keys with. So you're losing a lot of PvEs. I think you're losing general interest. And even with cutoffs, cutoffs since pretty much, I guess it's been like Wednesday or something, January 27th, when the peak of Arena then has pretty much just stayed very, very similar. Bouncing sort of between this 2,900, 2,800 bracket. Obviously, the first couple of weeks is always intense, but it's weird to not see this number keep spiking. And for comparison, let me see if I can find an archive. In season 4, it did increase quite slowly, but we saw this gradual increase every week. Every single week it went up by a couple points. It slowed down at sort of that 3.1K mark. But even then, this was obviously a longer season. So August, it was 38 weeks. So about August, it was similar cutoffs as it is now. But even then, it was gradually increasing. And I feel like Arena, I don't know if we have the stats for that here, but Arena play in general was pretty popular then too. In the last couple of weeks. So I don't know if we'll get a final push of people coming in here. I think a lot of people right now who are in this rank 1 range, maybe 2,800 to 3.1K, are just chilling. They're just waiting to see what happens. I think right now, because of how dominant the meta is, and how there's kind of like, let me see if I can go back to the first page. There's kind of like an obvious trend here towards certain classes. I think a lot of people are probably less interested than they used to be. And it's going to take something to pick this back up. It is a bit of a down period though as well, because I think the new patch is sort of interesting, but it doesn't look super exciting. So we're going to have to see what comes out of that patch before we can make a decision. Anyway, guys, what do you guys think about this? Do you think Blizzard needs to do something to kickstart this Arena trend again? Because it feels like arenas are dead. It feels like a lot of interest even in arenas is waning. And that, we're sort of on the... I guess a lot of people are burnt out as well. We've been playing a lot. And even for me and most people I know, your work commitments, your IRL commitments are picking back up. So that could be a big driver as well. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't, and take it easy.